Ba 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 da ba 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 da. Hip in the lip. Ba 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 ba. Hip in the lip. Good evening from unknown parts of metropolitan New York City. I am the Hip, and this is the Lip.
Hello, Hip and Lip Nation, on this Sunday evening, the first day of spring, I believe, is it not? Even though
Indeed,
we are,
March 20. Yes, indeed it is, sir. Episode 13 of Hip and the Lip. I can't believe we've made it this far. Uh,
wow,
Thanks to all
13.
of you for enjoying this. What our listeners would probably say tumultuous ride, but it's been all fun and exciting, and it is your New York Islanders podcast, yes. And so tonight we throw perhaps a deke at our listeners.
I like that.
Uh,
It's a good hockey term. That's
yeah,
a
I
good
was going to say
hockey
curveball, but that would
metaphor.
a curveball would you know what that meant, but that wouldn't fit the context here. So we're going to deviate from our typical format and have an abbreviated version of the recap of, in this case, the last four games. Plenty of juicy stuff to discuss within those four games. There's no question.
Oh yeah, very juicy.
So we'll get into those games, and then we're going to have a very special guest. Rob from Road Ice Travels is going to join the podcast. This is a real person who has actually agreed to come on and talk about the Islanders with us. At least he's agreed to do it. He could always drop out between now and then. So, we'll see if he can survive listening to us for this long.
Well, I guess we'll have our answer. We get dead air after about 20 minutes or so. Hello, hello. We'll just talk about the technical difficulties.
Oh well, losing listeners faster than we're gaining them. Always good. So that's what we have lined up tonight. Very exciting. And so, as usual, we'll kick off with a very brief standings update. So it's the landscape has changed very quickly from 1 week ago, our last show, where the Islanders now, through today's games, are in fourth place in the Metropolitan Division with 85 points, 70 games played. And ahead of them now are your Pittsburgh Penguins by 3 points at 88 points, 72 games played, as well as the New York Rangers, identical 88 points, 72 games played, and in fact they have identical records. Pittsburgh and New York at 40, 24, and 8. So now the Islanders are 3 points behind both the Rangers and the Penguins. Quick change here from a week ago, and of course Washington above and beyond. But now Philadelphia is only 5 points behind the Islanders, and so this obviously a tumultuous week to get to this point. So without further ado, let's get right into it. And it started on a high note with their last, not last minute, but last 5 minute crazy comeback victory at home against the Panthers, which I thought set up the week well. And in fact, the Lip was in attendance for this one. So, why don't you give us the Barclays Center experience and evaluation of the Islanders' win here?
Well, the Lip was in attendance, so he got to see firsthand just that absolutely phenomenal performance by the Islanders for the first 40 minutes of that game. A game, of course, as you pointed out, they would come back to win. It was a frenetic comeback orchestrated by the Islanders. They were down 2-0 in the third period, and they were able to score 3 goals in the final 7 minutes and 10 seconds to win, which is the first time, actually, since 1991 that they won a game in regulation where they were down by 2 goals, or overcame a 2-goal deficit, in at least in the final 7 minutes and 10 seconds of the game. But for the first 40 minutes, let me just say that their play was it was basically non-existent. I mean, it may as well have been a figure skating exhibition perpetrated by the New York Islanders. It was a game where that nobody showed up for the first 40 minutes, and this will be obviously a theme as we get into the other games. But the first 40 minutes was basically vomit-inducing. I mean, it was you're sitting there watching this, and you saw just guys that were completely disinterested, guys that looked like they were just completely going through the motions, a power play which it was comical that they would even call that a power play because Florida had the best chance. This was, I think, in the second period. I think they had the puck in the offensive zone for like 3 seconds out of the 2 minutes. It was absolutely just wretched hockey for the first 40 minutes, and then for the last 20, they picked up their play, and then of course were able to come back and get the victory. The game-winning goal by Cal Clutterbuck, and another game-winning goal by Cal Clutterbuck, who continues to be one of their best players, really one of their best forwards, really throughout the course of the entire season. And they are now 11-0 when Clutter, I should call him Clutter Duck Butter for our audience, when he scores a goal. But when I left the arena after that game, and I got to say, the Barclays Center was electric. The atmosphere, I've been to a handful of games this year. I have not heard the Barclays Center that loud in any of the games I have been to. And some of the comments I saw after the game was that it was the loudest that it had been, maybe other than one of the Ranger games all season. That's how loud the crowd was when the Islanders tied it, and then of course would take the lead late on the Clutterbuck goal. And I'm sitting there, and I'm walking out of the arena after the game is over, and I'm thinking to myself, could this be a turning point? Will they turn what should have been a terrible, awful 2-0 loss or just a loss, and you make this great comeback? Could this be a turning point where they flip a switch and now they're going to go, kind of go on a roll and to finish out the season? Well, hold your horses. But at least for this game, they were able to get the win. But yeah, it was a very exciting finish. But as we will get into in just a moment, did not lead to anything positive over the next few games for them.
But I don't understand. I watched this game start to finish, and I just don't get how a team could look so bad in 2 periods, and then it's like they're like new human beings wearing the previous players' jerseys that come on for the 3rd period because they look completely different. Can the coach actually say something that, did they change lines? Like, what is it that caused the team to look so different? I don't. I can understand one night to the next, fine, okay, but period to period looking so differently? Are they coached? Are they instructed to do something differently? It just doesn't make any sense.
I mean, look, it's again. I've said this before. Hockey is a game of ebbs and flows, and for them, that the first goal was scored by Kyle Oposo. It was an innocent-looking play. He was able to gain the zone and wristed a shot past Roberto Luongo, who was clearly screened on the play. Didn't react to the puck. Didn't react to the shot off of Oposo's stick. And then really after that, the Islanders just finally, and they had been playing better in that period leading up to that, but all of a sudden now they're skating, they're energized by the crowd. The crowd's now into it. They're skating, and they actually got a little maybe overzealous. I forget if it was it may have been after the tying goal, actually, after Josh Bailey was able to put a rebound. It seemed like it took him an eternity to put that puck in that wide open net. To tie the game there, but they may have gotten overzealous after they tied the game on that Josh Bailey goal as Florida comes back with an on-man rush, and Thomas Greiss makes a tremendous save there to keep the score tied at 2, and then of course Clutterbuck would score off that ridiculous angle, and I was trying to figure out how that puck went in. I think it went off of Luongo's stick and in. Yeah. But I honestly can't answer that question, and it's a question that begs to be asked. It's really one of the themes of the season. We've talked about, Jekyll and Hyde, or as Butchie says, Heckle and Jekyll, as his team just goes through stretches where they look good, and then they go through stretches where they look awful. And it has just been the case with this team from start to finish all season long. And if you want to know my honest opinion, again, they have to fire the coach. I think that's the only way that you can stop this, because they are not going to win a damn thing by playing this style of hockey, because now you saw what happens when you play good teams. When you play bad teams, on their 6-1 road trip, you can get away with playing, for 7 and 8 minute stretches in a 60-minute game and come away with the win. When you play good teams, you lose, and that's exactly what happened after that Florida game.
Right. So and by the way, I just want to throw in there. Last show I pushed you on telling us who you would start in net against the Panthers and then the Penguins, because they were back to back. We knew that it would be Greiss Berube or vice versa. And
I thought it, yeah. Right.
And you said you would use You would use Berube against the Panthers, and then Grice against at Pittsburgh because it's the team on your tail at that point. And of course, of course, Grice gets the start against the Panthers, and then Berube's in net against the Penguins, a game that the Islanders lose in a shootout, 2-1. And just speaking of Berube, I mean, he passed the eye test for me in this game. In overtime, in particular, he looked unbelievable. Actually,
it was perfect. Yeah,
for a guy that hadn't started since I don't know, early February. This is the first game he's played since Halak went down, and he hadn't played a while prior to that. He looked great, but you tell us about the rest of the team's performance in this one.
Well, I will say, and I thought that they played okay in this game. You're always going to seem to excuse a team on the second of a back-to-back. One of the terms that you'll see in Islander Mania used often is scheduled loss. And I think it's meant to be a kind of a it's like used like in a mocking type of way. It's meant to be a like a derogatory term. To describe, how like teams will come out and they'll look terrible after on the second of a back-to-back, and you go, oh, they were going to lose this game anyway.
Yeah, but against the team that's right behind you in the standings with like 15 games to go in the season, I can't buy that. I'm sorry. There's so few games.
No, I'm not excusing anything. And like I said, I thought that they were okay in this game. I thought that they at least, they seemed to. They seem to put forth, for the most part, a decent effort. It was clear that they didn't really have their legs under them. Pittsburgh had to jump on them for a majority of the game. They were able to tie the game late. Oposo was able to score a power play goal. Nice goal by Oposo. I'll give him that. I've been hard on him, of course, as you know. But a nice goal there by Oposo on the power play to tie it. And then, of course, the overtime in which, they might as well have just been playing 3-on-0 the entire overtime, Pittsburgh, as Berube was basically asked just to stand on his head. I mean, he almost had to literally stand on his head to try and stop some of those Pittsburgh chances. But they were able to withstand the Pittsburgh barrage and come away at least with a shootout opportunity, which they would go on to lose. The skills competition is how he always puts it. And of course, Jack after the game, and we're going to get to Jack in a moment, but Jack was very quick to compliment the team and pat themselves on the back for this moral victory for putting forth a decent effort against a good team, a hot team on the second of a back-to-back. And we'll get to Jack, but overall, you say okay, you get a point. You do lose a point in the standings of Pittsburgh, but it's only the one that you lose. You move on, and hopefully you come away with a couple of good efforts on the road. Well,
then they travel to Nashville. They have a game. They have one day off. They played Nashville last Thursday, and I think you already kind of spilled the beans. 4-2 loss in this one.
Yeah, and our guest will touch on this as he was in attendance for this game. Right. But another awful start, and Howie actually has pointed this out now in multiple games, how this team just seems to consistently, one thing at least they're consistent with is their awful starts. And no exception in this game, another terrible start. I think they were outshot like maybe was it 40-3 in the first period or something. At least it felt like that. Nashville would get the first goal in this game. I think that was 5 straight games now, at least after the Dallas game, that the Islanders had given up the first goal. They would tie the game on the first NHL goal from Ryan Pulock, so congratulations to him, and for his efforts he was shown the press box against Dallas, but we'll get into that. But he gets his first NHL goal. It was on, I guess ironically, a wrist shot as opposed to his big blast that he features, that big slap shot or his ability to one-time a puck from the point. The screenshot in front, so congratulations to Ryan on his first goal. Howie actually made an interesting comment that the Islanders, for a majority of the first 2 periods, spent the entire time in their zone, and Howie actually made a nice little quip where he said the Islanders should have their mail forwarded to the defensive zone, and he comes up with good ones like that. So well done, Howie. But immediately after that first goal was scored, you'd think maybe the team is going to get energized now. You tie the game. No, instead Nashville jumps on them, scores 2 goals in the blink of an eye. They were able to score quickly, and then on a power play after after the Islanders take a penalty after Nashville makes it 2-1, and then just basically game over. Good night, delighted 3-1, and I know they would make it 3-2 in the third period, but I never thought the Islanders were going to come back from a 2-goal deficit, and they would go on to a 4-2 loss, as you mentioned.
And this is kind of answering my question or point from last show. We're talking about coaching and preparing for teams, and how could a team come out and score and look so great like they did against the Rangers when they scored 3 goals in the first 5 minutes or whatever, just blazing on the ice, and then days later just looks so flat and horrible. And we're talking about how it's coaching and game planning, and I said, look, Jack has his game planning cut out for him this week with these 4 games, 3 on the road, all playoff contenders, some at the top of divisions, and clearly he has gotten a big fat F. There's no question. I mean, the Islanders have to consider themselves lucky for coming back against Florida with such little time left. And what another funny point just about that, last year that would have been the opposite situation, right, where the Islanders would be giving up a 2-0 goal lead with 7 minutes to go, and it's just funny that they've kind of turned the tides on that. But that's only a little positive comment there.
Silver lining, right? At least they're not blowing
exactly.
3-goal leads regularly anymore, right? Hey, yeah. Well, they don't have 3-goal leads to blow anymore now.
Well, not this week, where they picked up 1 goal against Pittsburgh, and then they had 2 against Nashville, and then limping into Dallas 2 days later last night, and here they can't even score a goal. So I think you could take a wild guess of how this one ended up. With your best friend Brian Straight in the game, I guess was Pulock a scratch for this one?
Of course, absolutely. Scored his first NHL goal. Hey, great job, kid. Now get in the press box.
Now I think
the wonderful Brian Straight back in the lineup because
I know that I believe he did also sit either the game against the Panthers or Penguins. I don't remember which one, but that I can understand because it's back-to-backs, perhaps. But here, they had a day off in between. I mean, what is the? Is it a matchup?
Yeah. Well, I think Jack was quoted as saying that he's a heavier player, whatever that means. I mean, I guess Pulock is like 170 pounds, right? Oh wait, no, he's actually 215 pounds. So go figure exactly what that means when he said that he should have been that he was in the lineup because he's a heavy player or plays a heavy game. You know what, Jack? We don't take anything that you say seriously anymore, so just keep it to yourself, because anybody that pays attention to the team knows that you're a buffoon and you have absolutely no idea how to you have no idea how to really stop this sinking ship right now. And I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm going to go into my rant here in just a moment. I know we have our guests too, and I don't want to keep them waiting. But I guess we'll move on with the Dallas game, and then we'll get to my rants. Is that?
I don't think you're supposed to schedule a rant, but I guess you just did. It's just supposed to kind of happen. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess we didn't want to elongate any of our segments this evening, but yeah. Then this
rant at exactly 10:37 and 42 seconds. Yes.
Well, at least I'll get in some choice words for both the GM and the coach, but. Yeah, and so the game yesterday, a shutout loss. They play a little bit better, I guess. I mean, they came out better in the first period. Second period was terrible. They were awful in the second period, and then, really, and Dallas was getting a ton of chances. I mean, the second period they were going back and forth, but Dallas got more of the quality chances. And then on that first goal, which I think you knew the game was over after they scored that first goal, just how futile the Islanders' offense has been. But terrible. But Calvin DeHaan, who's struggled since he's come back, and I give a lot of crap to Straight, who stinks, who had a terrible game against Dallas. But Calvin DeHaan has had a couple really rough games. He had a terrible play against Nashville. He took a wrong angle on a goal that Nashville scored. It was, I think, with their third goal or whatever. And then in this game, he had terrible awareness in the offensive zone along the boards. Dallas was able to chip it ahead. I think it was Eakins for Dallas that was able to get on a 2-on-1 with Jamie Benn, one of the top goal scorers in the league. So Travis Hamonic is defending on the play. He takes away the pass to Benn naturally, and he was able, and then Eakins was able to wrist it past Thomas Grice, but a terrible play there by DeHaan. And then they would, of course, score the second goal. And I mean, if you didn't think the game was over at 1-0, at 2-0, you knew they were done. As Franz Nielsen, who's also been terrible as of late, coughed up the puck at the Dallas blue line. And then you just see Letty, Oposo, and Bailey all kind of mosey on back as they watch, I think, Patrick Eaves, who scored the goal. He gets stopped by Thomas Grice on his initial attempt on the breakaway, and then was able to put in the rebound over a sprawling and supine Thomas Grice, who I'm sure was thinking to himself, like, where the hell are my teammates right now? As you just see, Letty and Oposo and Bailey, just they're moseying on back. Let's give the illusion that we're going to try and get back and maybe defend, considering that there was a rebound opportunity, and maybe if one of them is skating hard, maybe they can actually break up the play. But no, let's take our time and get back. Oh, look, there's a rebound. Oh, it's 2-0, game over. So there you go, empty net goal with I think Jack pulled the goalie with 8 or 9 minutes left or something, or 4 maybe. I forget how much time was left, but Dallas would score the third goal, game over, and road trip over, and just concludes a terrible stretch for the Islanders.
12 games to go in the regular season.
Yep.
Eight are at home, but man, I mean, if this is crunch time, and with such an awful run like this, I mean, I think if we just take guesses of where they're going to end up, it could be anywhere. I mean, they could end up being second in the division somehow. I mean, I'm sure you have all the confidence in the world that they could still.
They've instilled a ton of
Philadelphia
confidence
could be on their tails because, hey, what do you know?
Hey.
The Islanders play the Flyers tomorrow night.
Yeah.
And if the Flyers take that one, now the Flyers are only 3 points behind the Islanders with 11 to play. So,
yeah.
Really, we're really setting an exciting tone here. Well, I mean, it is what it is. This is your New York Islanders, and I think it's a fitting time to share the misery with our fellow guests. So,
all right, let's do it.
Yeah, so we're bringing on Rob from Road Ice Travels, and again, we're gonna get into all the ups and downs of the Islanders and Road Ice Travel. So, Rob, how are you tonight?
I'm good, guys. How you doing?
Doing well. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So, tell us just a little bit about yourself. Where you're from and when you first took interest in the Islanders.
Sure. Grew up in Wantagh, about 10 minutes from the Coliseum. Been rooting for the Islanders ever since I bought the first NHL video game for Super Nintendo, I think it was, and going to games ever since. And disappointed that they moved away from there, but still going to be a fan, of course.
And so you're making regular trips from so you live in Long Island now, and you make trips to Barclays on a regular basis?
So I actually live in Queens now, and I have not made regular trips to the Barclays. It's still not as easy as one would think. It's still a decent subway ride, but I've made it there a couple of times so far.
You'd think that if you're in Queens and you need to get to Barclays Center, it would not take six trains and over an hour, but I'm finding, you're far from alone in that regard.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so tell us about Road Ice Travels.
Sure. So it started 3 years ago. We came up with the idea. I had gone on a New York Giants football road trip to Dallas with some friends, and we were Googling, where to stay, how to get there, what are we going to do? We don't know where anything is in relation to anything in Dallas. And then we looked around a little more, and we found that there's a group that there's actually 2 companies that do these road trips for Giant games. And we ended up joining them, and it was a couple of hundred Giant fans traveling to Dallas. It was actually Hurricane Sandy weekend, and we got stranded down there for a few extra days. But then we just had the idea, there's a niche of diehard hockey fans out there. And I've been on enough Islander road trips myself and with my friends that we thought it would be a great idea to try and bring as many people as we can on our trips with us.
Cool.
So we've been doing it for 3 years now.
So you must know the opposing, or you're getting to know the opposing cities quite well. You pick a bar to to meet up at, or some other pregame event, and run us through like what a typical trip is like.
Sure. So it's basically a round trip bus, and we have a 56 passenger coach bus. It's got a bathroom on board. You can play music. You can bring on whatever you'd like. So it's round trip bus, ticket to the game, sitting in the group of Islander fans. More likely than not, it's on the Islanders attack twice side in the visiting arena. And there's, like you said, there's usually a pregame event beforehand where we raffle off some stuff. There's drink specials, maybe food specials. We've worked with a Sirius XM radio show called Hockey Unfiltered and a Hockey Primetime a few times. So we've coordinated them broadcasting from these visiting bars, and we come in with a group of visiting fans, and there's a nice interaction there. So it's been a lot of fun.
So when was the last trip that you guys had?
So a handful of us just came back from Nashville and from Boston. The bigger road trips were mostly Philly and the Devils this year. A lot
Sure.
of the fans seem to like the closer trips or the Saturday afternoons where they don't have to take a day off of work or book hotel or airfare or anything like that. So the longer trips are a little less populated, but still a lot of fun.
So you guys took a bus to Nashville?
No, we actually flew down there.
Okay. Yeah. That would have been quite a ride. Well, I would have said,
Yeah.
man, that's over the top dedication.
Yeah, that's a little too far than we're willing to travel by bus right now.
Right. Well, maybe if the Islanders win a playoff series, you could double in attendees from one season to the next.
Yeah.
I'm wondering. Tell me some of your thoughts on that. Like, we've talked a lot on this show about this weird position that ownership is in with the move to Barclays, where they're trying to obviously keep the passionate, diehard fans that are on Long Island, while at the same time reel in this, the metropolitan New York City area. While the Rangers are here, there's still a lot of, especially in the outer boroughs, a lot of untapped, sports fans who are just not big hockey fans. And so, what has been your impression of how that's played out so far?
Well, yeah, I think exactly. They're trying to reach the new fans in that area, but there's already an established Ranger fan base, maybe even a Devils fan base. So they're relying on the Islander fans to travel from Suffolk, from Nassau, and I think there's a good group or so of people that have been doing it consistently. But a lot of the fans that would go to the Coliseum a dozen times a year are not going anymore, and I don't know if they've found the new fans to take their place at the Barclays, and the staff at the Barclays and the way they've been conducting business there is not really conducive, so from what I've seen so far, to welcoming in anybody. So, whether it's from their Halak mini helmet fiascos, people not getting bobbleheads, just people being treated poorly by the staff, people not being informed. It could be just a big learning curve, for the first year staff there. But it's not like they haven't had other sporting events there in the past. So
maybe they're busy waxing that car that's like next to next to the ice down there, and they're so focused on that. Which I don't know if you have the answer to why that's there and the decision behind that, but it's so ridiculous.
I do not have that answer.
Well, it's their official team mascot. Come on. It's not Sparky anymore. Now it's the SUV at in the corner over there.
The lip were we at that game with the Halak mask that we never saw? Was that was the
we were
the Penguins game?
Yeah.
So we didn't get it.
Nope, we did not. We came outside to see a lot of empty boxes and people that were scrounging through them, like scavengers, just trying to see if they can find one. Apparently, we missed like the mad rush. That whole fiasco.
Well, maybe after they saw that he got injured, they were just people were just dying to get one. I guess I don't know.
It's going to be more valuable.
It's kind of ironic timing. That was the game that for
that's right.
Don't remember. So it turns out the Halak. What was it that they gave out again?
It was a mini helmet, like a ceramic type mini helmet.
So in that game, Halak injures his groin and is now not going to play until the playoffs at the earliest, if at all. So go Islanders. So I mean, you just came back from Nashville. You obviously probably return with a sour taste in your mouth from that game. What is your, quick assessment of the team to this point this year? If you have a scheduled rant that you'd like to make, the
I don't
floor is
want to take away
yours.
from the lips rants. No, I think you guys touched on it a little bit. It's basically pick a name out of a hat to see who's playing defense from one day to the next. There's no consistency. The players aren't comfortable playing with each other, and you could tell. And they're spending the whole shift in the D zone. You got JT and Oposo spending their whole shifts in the defensive zone, not getting any O zone time. So what do you expect? So there's no shots on net. They get tired and they have to come off before they get a chance for a rush. And then as they're going off, there seems to be an odd man rush the last several games. So, Grice and Berube are doing everything they can, literally standing on their heads like the lip said. But, you could see a defensive breakdown, and I think that's the direct cause of no offense at all, because there's just no, tired legs. They got to get off, and then the next shift is spent in the defensive zone as well. And,
Yeah.
I don't know why, or and sitting Pulak back-to-back games. The guy's 21 years old. He should be in there every game. I mean, let the kid play. Let everyone that's playing well or was playing well just play, even if they have a bad game or two. I think you need the consistency.
I agree, and you make good points. I mean, a team that has had so many defensive breakdowns over the last however many games. It just seems like, guys are getting open. Franz Nielsen's had his. I mean, he's talked about as one of the great defensive centers in the game, and you've seen him multiple times now just lose his guy. You saw it in the game that you were at in Nashville. I remember in the Boston game, he vacated the front of the net, and Pasternak, you were at that game, of course, too. Pasternak was wide open for that. I think it was the second goal of the game for Boston at the end of the period. So yeah, it's just been the defensive breakdowns. They can't get any extended offensive zone time. And I mean, I don't know about you, but right now I'm concerned with this team because I think they just look very complacent. I mean, how nervous are you right now? I mean, do you think that this team could conceivably end up out of the playoffs, or are you just hoping that they can kind of expect them to get in the playoffs and then right the ship by the time that they do?
Well, I'm also a Mets fan, so of course they can not be in the playoffs come 3 weeks from now, but I think they'll hang on to a playoff spot somehow. I mean, they'll have to win a couple more games, I would hope. So, but they got to get it together quick, and I have some info that there's a rival Philadelphia group bringing a couple of buses of fans up tomorrow, so hopefully the Islander fans show up and quiet those folks down a little bit, and we can get a nice win.
Oh man, that would be great to get them to shut up, because look, a win for them. Oh my gosh, they're gonna be so excited, and they're you would think that their playoff hopes kind of hinge on this game.
Yeah, I thought they were left for dead a couple of weeks ago, and here they are, and it's scary. Just,
one thing you mentioned, Rob, that caught my attention is players not being comfortable playing with each other. So we know that Jack has done some line changes. I notice hearing about it. It's talked about, and it's been done recently. So what's your impression of that? Like, why is it certain guys have been out and they just haven't played? I mean, we know the best line in this team is the fourth line, and they seem to play incredibly well together. But what about these other lines? Like, what's your take on that? Why?
I have no idea why. I just, maybe it's a lack of talent. I mean, well, Anders Lee, he woke up recently, but they were counting on him to be 25, 30 goal scorer. Why wouldn't they think that? So he's done little. He's come on of late, like I said. JT, he's a superstar. He's amazing to watch. His vision on the ice is fantastic. But I don't even think he's in the top 25 in points. I mean, it's not necessarily his fault, but as far as the other lines, I guess they have to keep juggling people that might be able to play with him. But this late in the season, how do they not know that yet?
Right.
So I think there's a lot of people not pulling their weight, and like I said, there's people not hustling out there. In my own roller hockey league, we yell at each other from the bench. If you're not hustling, get off. And I don't know if they're yelling that to each other there or who's yelling it, but no one's going for the puck. They're not winning any puck battle, not winning any physical battle except for the fourth line, and they're getting completely dominated. So I'm hoping to see it end tomorrow.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, I've been very critical of management, particularly, well, the general manager for his lack of moves since Game 7 last year against Washington. I mean, the only significant move he's made really was bringing in Thomas Christ, who's been terrific. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's been great, but nothing else. I mean, do you agree with the approach that he has taken? Whether it's last summer or at the trade deadline, not making any kind of significant move other than bringing in Shane Prince, who has 1.9 games. I mean, were you comfortable with the way the team was constructed, that they could, just improve their play towards the end of the season and then go on a run from there, or did you think that he should have made a move or moves?
No, I think moves should have been made. Enough is enough already with rebuilding and prospects and kids. I'm sick of it. What has it gotten us? The 20 plus years of not making it out of the first round. I'm sick of it. You could bring in if they had a chance to bring in a rental. I don't know who they could have brought in, but I guess there were a few guys out there. Bring in a rental. I don't even care who it costs anymore, to be honest. The fans want to see something, and I'm hoping they even make it into the first round, and let alone out of it this year. But I definitely wish they made a couple more moves and got somebody with some, skill.
It's amazing how much a week changes things. A week ago, it would have kind of been inconceivable just to say we hope that the Islanders make the first round. But here
Hmm.
we are, and it's legitimately fair.
Yeah, that's very true. Scary.
Well, guess we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I mean, I guess the pessimistic Islander fan in all of us is going to come out, considering just how inconsistent they've been this year, and hopefully they can somehow right the ship here and get back on track, because they're going to have to win some games down the stretch just to make sure that they get in. Do you have any? But okay, so do you have any games on tap that you'll be going to at the end of this last stretch of the season?
We don't have any more games planned for this season. We had hoped to do some viewing parties this season. Should the Islanders hold on and make the playoffs, we're hoping to do a couple of viewing parties for some of the road games and maybe have some giveaways and stuff. Next year, we look to have another full schedule of road games and some viewing parties and some other stuff in the works. But as of now, we're done for this season.
So is Road Ice Travels? Is it specifically for the Islanders?
It is. There's a couple of other games that have been mixed in there just based on scheduling and demand. But it's become basically just an Islanders road travel group. And we get some other unique perks that you couldn't get on your own if you just drive down with your buddies to like Philly or to the Devils game. We get on the ice after the game for group photos on the Devils ice, for example. Another Devil game this year, we all got to take shots from the blue line. They gave us sticks on the ice after the game, so it's nice photo ops and fun chances for people to do that. In Philly, we raffled off 2 spots to sit in the penalty box before the game, so two people got to watch warm ups from the penalty box, which is awesome. We only ask that they take a lot of photos and video for us for our website, and they always do. So we have a lot of repeat business and repeat customers telling other friends, so it's grown into something pretty good, and hopefully we can keep growing from here.
Tell your friends! Tell your friends!
Exactly.
RoadIceTravels.com.
Yep.
And you guys are on Twitter?
We are on Twitter. We admittedly do need to kick up our social media game a little bit. So next year, that's number 1 on our agenda. We also work with the 516 Alliance group, Islander fan group on Facebook. So I think there's maybe 700 or 800 people in that group that chat during games, and a lot of them have come on the trips and stuff. So that's been good.
All right, excellent. Well, what else do you want to share about Road Ice Travels? I mean, I think it's a pretty good. You gave us a pretty good synopsis, but I don't want to leave anything out.
Yeah. Thank you. No, I mean, it basically said it all. It's everyone. Some people are hesitant, and a lot of people email us, hey, what's this about? I'm a little worried. I've never come on this before. I want to travel alone. Is it what's the deal? And everyone that ends up coming always has a great time, and most people email us afterwards and tell us how much fun they had, and they always share their photos with us. Everyone makes a lot of new friends. That's kind of the big thing. People make a ton of friends. So we've had a lot of people travel by themselves. And then you kind of look afterwards, and they have 5 new Facebook friends, and it's people from the trips and stuff, and that's great. That's basically exactly what we're shooting for, just groups of Islander fans that want to go see the game together and meet each other, and then they become friends, go to other games together, hopefully with us, or not, but yeah,
Well,
that's basically it.
I see plenty of pictures here, but I could understand, somebody going by themselves while they'll maybe just have a little pause up front, but
Right.
it looks like you guys do a good job of saying, look, here's what we do. It's not just like four people standing in the back corner of a bar. Big crowd, so you must travel well and have a really good time. So I and I'm sure the Lip hope to be a part of the trip in the future.
Yeah,
I
I
hope
mean,
so.
it does sound great. I will say, despite a couple of the lousy games that you saw recently in Nashville and Boston, but it does sound like a really great, awesome experience, and to meet other Islander fans, and yeah, it sounds really cool.
Yeah, and like even a trip that's close by, like the Devils, people can just get there on their own, obviously, and a lot of people tell us that. But last year we took a group of 102 Islander fans to the Rock, and we got two busfuls of people, and it's just everyone meeting, like I said before, everyone just meeting new people and traveling together, and yeah, you have the option to kind of go on your own and do your own thing. Of course you do, but we feel like it's a lot more fun just traveling in a group, and especially in a road game that might be fairly hostile, which none of them really are. You get the occasional jerk that tries to mouth off, but when you're in a big group, there's never any risk of there's no danger or anything like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
So,
Well, so let's talk this upcoming week, guys. So we've already touched on the Flyers. Then they host Ottawa on Wednesday, and then travel to the Bay on Saturday. So another loaded week of games. 8 of 12 are at home, and what more can I say than this is truly going to be an intense final stretch.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Are
yeah.
there are there any players? I like to ask the Lip questions like this. Are there any players in particular, Rob, that you are expecting more of based on what you've seen recently that you really think need to stay? I know you mentioned Andersley, but are there and you mentioned the defense has been awful, but like I'm still, admittedly, it's training for me to learn to watch hockey. Like I can't take it all in as it's happening. It's too fast. I do the
Mhm.
best I can, but I often find that if I just try to focus on one or two guys in a game, that I can at least learn a lot more about those particular guys instead of just a sea of the same jersey, because it's just hard to pick up on the nuances right away. So.
Mhm.
Give me a guy or two that I should have my focus on these next couple games.
Well, again, I think if they can get some offensive zone time, which does start with the defense, hitting a man with a pass out of the zone and skating in, I think if they can feed Brock Nelson in the slot where he's become pretty lethal when he gets the chance, I think he's someone to watch in the next week or two. And I think Tavares has been trying to do it all himself. When he does get a chance to come into the zone, he's been trying to skate through three guys. Granted, I don't see another white or blue jersey on the screen when he's in the zone, but I feel like someone has to get in there and give him a chance to get a shot off before his stick is hit and the puck's taken away. So I think he needs to make his presence known. Brock. Everyone. I mean, the way everyone's played recently, everyone's got to play better. Franz Nielsen can do a little bit more. Obviously, Bailey, Kuhlman, Grabowski. Like I don't know, somebody's got to step up and start scoring and throwing their body around a little bit and wake everyone up, and I think we'll be okay.
All right, well, that sets the stage. Thanks for joining us. This has been episode 13 of Hip and the Lip.
Thanks. Thank you guys for having me on. A lot of fun.
All right. Thank you for joining us, Rob.
All right. Talk to you guys later.
Okay.
All right, so we'll just say sayonara. Lip, unless you have any final words, I think we've hit it. We've hit it well.
We did. I think, I said I was going to get a rant in, but, I guess at this point it would lose, whatever kind of impact that it would have. I guess what I was going to say, and what I just want to get in just in, in the last, minute or two here is, you just don't want to see them accepting, because the team just looks like they've gotten very complacent, and they just look like they are almost like disinterested out there. And you don't want to. And look, they're not going to fire the head coach. I understand they're not going to fire the head coach, even though I still think at this point it should be considered an option, because it just seems like the message has gotten lost, and they're just not responding to everything that he's doing. But you just want to see them at least understand that they don't have a spot locked up yet, and you want to see that sense of urgency, and you want to see that consistent effort, for a full 60 minutes. And it's not just, we talk about this week and how they've had a couple of bad games, and look, if they have been playing really well, for a very long stretch, and they've been playing full 60-minute games, and you say, okay, well, it's a long season, you're going to have stretches, a couple stretches where you're not going to play your best, and you understand that, but this has been going on for too long, and they really need to show that sense of urgency and understand that these games, now going forward are very important, in terms of the standings, obviously, and their positioning in the playoffs, and just making sure that they secure that spot. And you just don't want to see them accepting of this mediocrity. You don't want to see the coach accepting of this mediocrity, and you want to see him, hold players accountable when they're not pulling their weight and when they're not, giving a full effort. And if it means benching players, then so be it. And or just changing the message in the locker room, or just handling the players differently in practice or whatever. Something needs to be done now, because this has been going on for too long.
I think the Lip is concerned that he will not see an X to the left of the word Islanders by the end of the season, because that's the only way that he achieves physical climax. So so he's desperately calling for the Islanders to pick up their play, and duly noted.
All right.
All right, so we'll be back in about a week's time. A week from today is Easter Sunday. I don't think we're going to have a show on Easter Sunday. We're shooting for the following day or night. So just about a week's time. 4 more games to go. 4 more games. So it'll be interesting to see what our tone's going to be in 4 games. A lot changed from last week, and they're going to play 4 more games. When we come back, they're going to have 8 games left in the season. So this is it. So, yes, on that note, let's go,
right.
Islanders. Yes, 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 yes. Will we have something to celebrate? Yes, yes, yes. All right.
Hopefully it is. Yes, 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 yes.
All right. Well,
All
thanks
right.
for listening,
Open
and
the lip.
until next time.
Bye, bye, bye.